just generally speaking, if it's R1, I hope that the board will be delicate on variances that impact curbs, gutters, sidewalks, and ditches and those sorts of things. That I think if you talk to the road commissioner in Limestone Township, he suggests it can be difficult at times to move snow for those sorts of things. So when you look at that, the other thing that happens, it seems to me from the district standpoint, is if he walked in today and said, I want to rezone that 20 acres, he'd go through a much longer process. You'd hear about the natural resource base, what potential impacts there would be to the natural resources for that house subdivision. Because it's already zoned R1 years ago, you don't get any of that by law. He's not required to provide you any of that because it's already through the process. So I never see that subdivision until it's approved by you. And then at the moment, we have an intergovernmental agreement that I'll review the erosion sediment control plan for that subdivision. That's the first time the district and I will see that. I'm guessing it's also, John Beavis just left, I'm guessing the health department doesn't see it until it's farther along the process also.
They get it at the 45-day review as well. They generally don't comment on it until the developer meets with them. They do get to see it.
I would like to thank all of you for staying for what's become a fairly lengthy meeting, so at least hear this fairly short presentation. I do want to thank you again for the long-term relationship the district has had with the planning department in the county. Within the intergovernmental agreement, we are again asking to receive $3,000 a year from the county planning budget. Mr. Van Mill assures me that that's in his proposed budget. It's paid at $250 a month is the way the system works. I think I spend roughly 4 to 5 to 6 hours a week on natural resource issues that generate from people stopping at the county office or county staff who has questions. I think it's been win-win-win all the way around. I think it's good for the county. I know it's good for the planning department because we reduce some of their workload because they can send people to me. They don't have to do the research. They don't have to find answers. They can just move the process along. When we started in '91 with this intergovernmental agreement, the district had serious funding issues through the state. Soil and water conservation districts, although we are units of government, we don't have taxing authority. We can't levy taxes. And from what we've heard, there's no hope to change that part of the district act that allows us to be there. So we are dependent upon grants from other governmental bodies and other ways we can raise money. Last year in the governor's budget, the district was allowed approximately $80,000 that pays for staff insurance, retirement, all of those sorts of things. We waited until approximately May 31st of our fiscal year and the state's fiscal year to get the allocation. So what we appear to learn from the governor is that we need to carry at all times about a year's worth of budget if we're going to keep the doors open. In the governor's proposed budget in January of '08, we had those same numbers in. When the governor got the budget at the end of June or the beginning of July, he decided we didn't need that much money. From approximately the $9 million for the 98 soil and water conservation districts, he took it down to about $4 million. He reduced the insurance for district staff that comes through the state grant to zero, and reduced operations to about half. And because we were a Senate-driven bill, and Senator Jones chose not to review the vetoes, we have no recourse. So we've now put our budget in at the numbers that we have from the county. We've reduced staff time effective in a week and a half that I'll go to 37 and a half hours. Our secretary will go to 30 hours. So we're back to much how it was 19 years ago. We need as much, we're looking for grants anywhere we can find them. I believe we provide a great service to the county between the Regional Planning Commission and working with staff. I think it shows as the county has continued to grow that you're understanding more all the time the importance of the natural resource base, looking at those sorts of issues when you're making land use decisions. And I think that's why I'm here. I think the Regional Planning Commission with Land Use and Transportation Subcommittee, issues like this that come up, I think the district brings a unique point of view. We come on the basis of what's the best thing for the resource. We're not preservationists, we never have been. We understand that the resource base of this county is why we're a wonderful county to live in. We just want to make sure that we find wise uses for those resources to make sure that when we have, as the future generations come into the county, that the resource base that we all love is there for future generations. And we can do that with the wise use of those resources. I like the compact and contiguous theory of subdivisions. I'm more fond of the compact version. Contiguous is good, but the less land we can use to build houses in the long run, the better off we will be. And on the, clearly, we try to protect the prime farmland. So our budget this year is roughly $100,000 again this year. If everything goes right, we expect to raise about $85,000 of that. And so we're on a deficit budget this year of about $15,000. I'm not sure, as long as the current administration is in Springfield, that we would expect to ever see more money. I would like to be clear, we do have the other agreement with the county to do erosion and sediment control, plan development, plan inspections, plan approvals. That money doesn't come to me directly, it comes to the district, it goes into money for operations and funding, which of course part of my salary does come from it, but it doesn't, they don't write the check to Rich Howell when they come down to do the erosion and sediment control plans. So I would be happy to take questions. You know, I'm here in the future as you go through the budget process. If there's a better time for that than at 5 minutes till 11 on a meeting that started at 9 o'clock, I do appreciate your patience and willingness to stay around and would take questions on my presentation or anything else.
Mr. James.
Thank you. As you know, I'm not a strong supporter of this. However, it was established back when it was just an infant starting out, and it did make sense, and it does make sense if you are in trouble now. But I'd be interested in knowing is exactly how much the policy changes that we put in place have contributed to your bottom dollar with these inspections and things. And I just wonder if I feel like we as the government entities should support you, but I'm just concerned as to how far the taxpayers should be contributing towards it, and that's whose money we're spending. So what is it that type of revenues are you receiving now due to these agreements we have whereby you're making these inspections and things?
The erosion sediment controls had a gross income last fiscal year of $4,850. We charged off $1,520 to mileage for that to go out and do inspections. But that doesn't include staff time in the office to develop the plan, nor does it count staff time to go out and do the inspections. So while the gross may look good, I would suggest that the bottom line is not, but you know, I'm not an accountant, and I think the county gets its money worth out of the district, and I understand your concerns. We're not looking for huge money, but we're all under tight budgets. But I would be willing to bet most people that what the county gets from that $3,000 is far and away more than the dollar. I regularly have members of the county board come in and we talk about resource issues in their area, what we can do to protect things. How long are we going to keep the doors open? I mean, we're going to keep them down to the last minute, but when you start to cut staff time, then you start to cut staff retirement, then you start to cut staff insurance, you start to cut staff at some point. So it's, when I started 19 years ago, I tell you it was about at minimum wage. I'm still willing to bet that I probably make less money than most of the county staff. So I think we're doing it responsibly, both economically and environmentally, and I think we provide a service that really helps the county as it goes forward.
You're asking for an increase
No.
on the 3,000?
No, just the 3,000, the 250 a month.
Okay. Mr. Hess, go ahead.
Thank you, Chairman. I make a motion, we go ahead and sign this intergovernmental agreement.
Second.
Generosity.
Everson seconded. Is there Everybody in favor of it, except Mr. James?
Roll call. Before we lose any more people, so we can't vote. we get-
Roll call. Question.
Question, Mr. Bossert.
Rich, you're charging $25 for an erosion permit?
$50
$50?
for a house, and I will tell you that for the good builders, it's probably about break even by the time we spend an hour or so in the office. Then I have to drive out and inspect it first to see if the plan's in, and then go drive back out to the site to make sure that the that the site is stabilized before the building department gives them final inspections. The problem comes when you have the problem child, and you have to go out 7 or 8 times, and we don't have a mechanism to build them again. So some of the inspections, I would suggest the county's probably, the district's losing money on those inspections, so.
Can we put in place a subsequent billing if you have to go out there more than that?
Well, I think that's a different agreement, but I think, I talked with Mike and Don, and I think we're headed toward that, again, trying to make sure that we don't penalize the person who understands the system and does it right, and not overburden people with fees that aren't justified by the expense of doing what ordinances call for. I think we all would agree with Stanley's, we're trying not to do this as a moneymaker. That's not the intent of the agreement on the erosion sediment control ordinances. That's permits. That's not the idea. What we're trying to ensure is that we cover our costs at the very least. And when you start to think about what staff time involves per hour, I'd say it's best we're break even.
Mr. Hess?
Sorry. Rich, how about your fees and if you have to make a return trip, a mileage charge?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're kicking things around and
Did you come up with a recommendation?
yeah, I think so, and figure out, certainly wouldn't do it without coming back through you all and explaining why, justifying, at least attempting to justify why we think I mean, maybe the $50 is for the plan, the first inspection and the second inspection, and if that doesn't work, in the third inspection, they have to get us a check for $25 for us to go back out and do final. I mean, that would be my grasp of how to do it. That way we're still, and we really, when we started it a year and a half ago, we just sort of threw a dart at the wall and said, we really think $50 will work. Of course, gas was $1.75 when we did that, and now gas is $3.85. So times are different than when we set that up, and I think it's just a reality that expenses have gone up fast
I
enough.
would think 50 covers 2 times out, and then if it requires more, it's another 50.
So that's another issue we're talking about.
That's right, that's not our,
Yeah.
right. Okay, there's a motion on,
Just a question, clarify. Rich, if we vote not to give you the 3,000, would you still provide to the county the same services that you now provide?
I think some, yes, the board, my board, allows me time out of the office to serve on the Regional Planning Commission, to advocate for natural resources. I think as income comes down and they start to look tighter on expenses of travel and what needs to be accomplished, I mean, I don't know. I would certainly hope that they'd allow me to do that because I think it's important. But I don't believe they penalize the county for withdrawing the support, but I do think it's in our annual plan of work trying to figure out where the priorities come and whether I can convince them that that's as much a priority as I think it is. I mean, they sometimes think I go to too many meetings now. My explanation then for the part that $3,000, that's our agreement to continue to advocate for the natural resources to the county and the county board. And the primary way I do that is by serving on the Regional Planning Commission.
ready for the question?
Yeah.
All in favor?
No, roll call.
Roll call.
Mr. Hess?
Aye.
Mr. James?
Come on, Stanley, come on. Wake up.
Nay.
Mr. Scholl?
Aye.
Mr. Tholen?
Aye.
Mr. Tripp?
Aye.
Mr. Washington?
Aye.
Mr. Whitten?
Aye.
Mr. Olcott?
Aye.
You got it, Rich.
Let the record show Mr. James is consistent. Okay, the revolving loan fund discussion will be carried on to the next meeting. Let's have a motion for that.
Make a motion for the revolving loan to the next meeting.
Okay, second by Mr. Scholl. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Any other old or new business?
Old business.
Yes, I know.
Just a minute, I've got it.
When do we weed?
Okay, Mr. Foley, you go first.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to clarify, at the last, the meeting before last, the PZA, I passed out water reports, tests, so forth, from the operation out in Salina. I was informed, or I was told that I may have misled the committee. That was not my intent, and therefore I want to rectify if there is any misunderstanding. The report which I passed out was a report that was conducted by a lab, which by the EPA rules and regulations, I believe, says that the proprietor must hire someone to do these tests. So it was not the test done by the IEPA, but it was done by what the IEPA would classify as an independent laboratory. So if I misled anyone, I apologize. That was not my intent. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At the last PZA meeting, I had requested to have reinstatement of the delegation agreement on the subsequent agenda, and I was assured it would be done, and I didn't see it on the agenda today.
I understand, and it was an oversight, and it will be put on the next month's agenda. It was an honest oversight.
All right, so but there'll be another meeting this month, correct? Another
Yes.
PZA meeting?
Yes, 27.
And it'll be the reinstatement of the delegation agreement? Will be on. Have you had any discussions since the last meeting with either, with anybody from the EPA or with the state's attorney?
I have met with Mr. Finley.
Okay, and the outcome of the discussion was?
He had some reservations on our proposal, and we are trying to address those as we go forward, and that would be presented to you at the next meeting.
And again, sometimes the old way is the best way, and I can't think of anything simpler and to get to the point than to just reinstate what we had. I really think it just cut to the chase and bring that agreement back. Thank you.
Thank you. Any
Next
other?
time, make sure you bring your own.
Motion to adjourn be in order. Moved by Bowen, seconded by a multitude of others. All in favor, say aye.
Ahead of the whole thing.
Opposed?
Yeah.